Tatyana, thank you for joining us at 20-minute leaders.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Of course, every time I'm trying a different intro of how I introduce the person, so we'll get feedback on how it was this time. But it's fun to try and do a talk show every day. It's a fun experience.
I can only imagine.
Okay, so Tatyana, your bio speaks for you, and we shared it already. Let's just dive into healthcare and startups, and I'd love you to tell me a little bit about what it means to build companies in the health tech space, and then let's guide the discussion towards COVID-19 and how are they dealing with this unprecedented time of a pandemic.
Yeah, thank you. So everyone knows that healthcare industry is not the easiest one to work with. For startups, it's been challenging, and I'm talking about the B2B side of things. That it's not the most innovative industry, and there are a lot of regulations. They have been, and there are a lot of hurdles you need to go through to work with large healthcare organizations because they're very conservative, very risk adverse, and so on. So it hasn't been easy. And now we have COVID.
And so what's even more challenging now with COVID?
I think it's kind of from technology point of view, it's good and bad at the same time, meaning that COVID kind of enabled healthcare organizations to focus only on the most critical things. So everything that was like nice to have, cool thing, all those things have been pushed out. No one has time. So number one priority for every healthcare organization is help us immediately today to deal with this pandemic. And I think for many different startups in healthcare, that became, some kind of challenging value prop because they have been providing a lot of cool solutions, but for areas that right now are not critical in healthcare, right? And and the whole healthcare is moving right now rapidly to telehealth and everything, so all those things kind of impacted in terms of what and how startups should be doing to work with healthcare today.
But
And there's
Tatyana,
a short time frame as well. Yeah.
So I mean, but not all health tech startups are relevant for COVID, right? I mean, you have them on all spectrums. So do you feel like there's a trend across the industry to now focus on how do we come up with solutions for this pandemic, or are a lot of them just sort of continuing what they're doing and saying, yeah, well, we're just waiting for the day after the pandemic to become relevant again?
First of all, what I'm seeing from our clients who are major healthcare organizations, they're trying to move as much of they can online. And like we've been doing clinical trials and build solutions that kind of integrated digital technology plus face-to-face. So now all of that is moving to completely online, so that's on clinical trial side. Then we're working with complex disease management, right? And now those type of solutions to be able to provide care coordination, everything online becomes more critical because those specialists, they're working from home now. They distribute it. They can't invite patients with Crohn's disease, for example, IBS, IBD, to see them in face-to-face. And that will be going for a while.
Right.
So there is a huge demand for immediately available solutions, not just for COVID, but overall in chronic disease management, in critical care, and everything else to kind of help our healthcare organizations that became overwhelmed.
Yeah. So are things going? Do you expect this industry of or segment of clinical trials and research on medicine and treatments to be moving more digitally also after COVID, or is this just some mechanism for them to adjust to the current time being?
I would say that wherever it's possible to do everything online digitally without compromising the whole project, I think those will stay online. So
So
I
this
don't
was
see
just
any
an
reasons for
acceleration.
them. Exactly. If you're doing certain compromises on quality, on outcomes, whatever those things are, then some of those things will either be eventually moving back to where they
Sure.
were. But if there are no compromises, I think they will stay digital.
Okay, that makes sense. So it sounds to me that a lot of these really health focused companies that are not necessarily tech focused, because they're now forced to be moving online, this could just be beneficial for them in the long run, because they have to adopt these cloud technologies to be able to continue operating, and now they're going to find that they can operate more efficiently and at scale. Is that a good assumption?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I think, this emergency kind of pushed for certain types of innovations to move forward faster. And there are a lot of new regulations that kind of enable you to do that. Because in the
Mm,
past, there are so many regulations that will
yeah.
not allow you to charge, like for telehealth visits. And there are a lot of
Okay.
regulations that will prevent patients to share data. Now, all of those are gone, hopefully for good. You see what I mean?
Interesting.
So it became easier to do certain things that um, were difficult to do in the past.
So it's not just the internal operations of the companies, it's also how governments respond to this whole industry, and perhaps lower removing some of the walls and regulations that they previously had.
Exactly. Yes. 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 Yes.
That's
That's
fascinating.
true.
Are there specific interesting things that you can think of that happened over the past few weeks that in the health tech space that wouldn't have been able to happen outside of this pandemic?
Again, the uptick on telehealth that was available as a service for a while, but have not been used as much as it could have been used. Now, with removing all those regulations and compensating for e-visits the same way as you do for in person, that removed
Right.
tons of obstacles. There are a lot of real good developments in having automated symptoms gatherings for different wearable companies that have been
Sure.
struggling in the past suddenly became like very popular.
Exactly.
Yeah, so a lot of things have been moving, faster
Sure.
because of the virus.
So so, as a health tech expert, I'd love to get your input on this exact issue. So, privacy in regards to healthcare. You know, health records are widely known as one of the most sensitive records that a person could have, and now when companies are even encouraged to try and track more things, I was joking with a friend that a possible response to this pandemic would be governments may want to be able to monitor 24/7 your body temperature, so that they can track when the next pandemic comes up. I believe China forced every citizen to report on a daily basis their body temperature so that they can analyze the trend. Is this where we're headed, where companies are tracking why a big group of people's different body signs?
I can tell you that from my company point of view, we released a COVID symptoms tracker. Now it's available in English, Spanish, Russian, Chinese, and Hindi coming up. And it's free app, and it enables people to track lots of data and share with a physician. So we
Ah,
release it as a free app for people to use,
Right.
so they can, from day they start feeling bad, they can have, all their temperature, all their coughs, all those symptoms logged
Right.
in, and share with doctors and to get advice before they go to ER. Now, what happened was we've been contacted by large healthcare providers,
Yeah.
and they're saying, now we're prescribing this free app for patients to use before, or from them they get ill, but also as we discharge people, we need them to continue tracking their symptoms. So now suddenly it became prescription grade free app that we
Who
released
would have thought?
just to help, and we built it within like literally 2 days. We put it out, and it's
Unbelievable.
used by tens of thousands. And we can integrate with wearable devices and everything else, but even at the baseline level, it's highly valuable for people, but also for physicians, because now the nurses, they don't have to call after appointment. So how you feel? How's your fever? Because we know that that's evolving for like 5, 6, 8 weeks after discharge. So it's unintendedly became very valuable app. And in the future, of course, we can integrate with our wearables as we do for commercial clients. But it was surprising to me to see how valuable even simple solutions on the tracking side can be used.
Yeah. So I'd also love to hear a few sentences about what is it that you're doing in your company, and how is it integrated into health tech. And I'd also love to hear a little bit about what it's like being affiliated with TEDx Bay Area, which is one of the most prominent TEDx events around the world. And I'd love to hear sort of both of these from your end.
Right. So I started the company and launched in 2015 at the White House Demo Day. That's where we launched. And we built the framework. It's highly sophisticated framework. I love your dog in the
Oh
background.
yeah, this is Benny. Yeah.
It's so cute, hi Billy. It enables rapid development, rapid, I mean days and weeks, of highly sophisticated digital health offerings, from chatbots to digital apps, voice apps, and we have all those personalization, gamification, AI, all those built in. So we're working with companies like Mount Sinai,
Oh wow.
Cleveland Clinic, UCSF, UCLA, so all those big companies, and enable them to create highly advanced, adaptive, personalized solutions integrated with the back end, physician facing with the front end, everything in between for autism, cancer, cardiovascular diseases, IBS, IBD, and so
Wow.
on. Right. And now this factor of being rapidly create highly adaptive, personalized, white label things become of value because you have a need, within days you can have your solution. So that's what we've been doing. And uh, of course, we're super busy, as you can imagine, with all the demand we have, and I'm not complaining by
Yeah.
no means. With TEDx Beta, I built that from day one of TEDx, and
Yeah.
literally was doing salons like every week and
Yeah.
large TEDx events once a year. However, for the last few years, I just didn't have bandwidth running
Yeah.
company and doing that. So that's been on hold. Eventually, when everything, settles, I might do either that or something similar to that, because people keep asking me, where are your salons? Where is your TEDx? So it's been, I think the most valuable thing was that I met just incredible, amazing people that I'm friends with all over the globe. That's the best value of TEDx.
I'm sure. So going back to health tech, um, I'd love to go a bit broader and hear, over the years, what are some of the transitions that you've seen in the health tech space, because you've been there for quite some time. So I'm growing up in a generation that we take for granted the fact that we have all of these wearable technologies, and we can monitor a lot of things, and we can just search online and get all the answers to whatever we're having. But this wasn't a thing in the past, and I'd love to hear a little bit about the transition that we went through to get to this point.
Um, if you look at the digital health, so the way I look at things, it was like phase zero, let's say, from a few years ago, where every single large healthcare organization was okay. It seems like we need to have an app, right? And there was this wave of apps. Like if you don't have an app and you will look at the pages of large healthcare organizations, and there are like, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 links to different apps,
Yeah.
right? And I would say that was more like, oh, they have it, I need to have it. They have
Yep.
it, I need to have it. And my prediction at that time was that all of that will go away because it doesn't make sense from
Sure.
healthcare organizations suddenly to become software developers. B, you can't maintain and integrate all those huge apps. C, from a patient point of view, lots of people have more than one condition at any point of time. And if you can't tell them, okay, if you have like, let's say headache, you use this app, but if you have stomach ache, use that app. You see
Sure.
them. So all of that is now normalizing the way I was expecting to get normalized from
Sure.
both sides.
So when you're saying normalized, you mean it's more consolidated into, single experiences where that are trying to encompass a lot of different symptoms and conditions?
That will be the third wave, but at least for now, it's normalizing in terms of, oh, why do we need yet another app? How we can create smarter, adaptive, integrated. What I'm seeing on my end, that there are a lot of large healthcare organizations that realize the app on its own has a value, but limited value. So we develop highly advanced, integrated, back end, physician facing, front end with patient, with wearable devices integrated with AHR. So you can see all of those things coming as a one solution, and then you can add conditions to it. Our framework enables for that, but
Sure.
I really like that, like we're working with, I don't want to name large children's hospital on complex cardiovascular solution for children. So there is a back end physician facing complex care coordination across many different specialists where they can assign specific exercise, target heart rate, everything to a patient, to a teenager, right? For example, it goes to the app that they see, okay, by schedule for the day, I need to eat that and whatever medication. Sure. This is an exercise. It's integrated with app that we built on Fitbit.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's all, as soon as I'm getting target heart rate here, it goes to physician dashboard. They can see and monitor immediately on their backend. So I see these type of things making more sense in the long run.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
Right. So it all becomes like one integrated offering. When it's personalized and adaptive, sure, it becomes even more useful.
100%. Tatyana, I can't. 20 minutes went by way too fast. But before we finish, I'd love to hear what you think are 3 words that best describe you.
Risk taker, visionary, and thinker.
I love it. Tatyana, thank you so much for the time. It was great.
Thank you. It was great being here. Thanks. Bye.